Liz.
I'm Jason.
Yes. And we're going to be talking about two topics and how they relate to building a new online writing lab. The first topic, it deals with refining data. The second topic deals with the writing space, like the online writing lab as a space that the article mentioned. You know, who wrote that article?
I don't remember.
Rain sent it to us.
Yes.
But
Somewhat. An
we
intelligent
talked
individual.
about coffee shops, you know, and having some sort of room to go, some sort of visual concept. But so first, I want to talk about how we need to refine data. I heard this podcast on the BBC about refining data, and he made this metaphor that just went click for me. I'm going to go ahead and play a clip.
Not annotated data, so we don't know what really happens when people tweet a lot or do a lot, and we try to infer what they may be doing, while the data that Larry collects is very defined. This is somebody who has cancer, and then given that this person has cancer, we can try to observe what preconditions were genetically, for example, there that led to this case.
Patrick?
That's a very good point that you raise, Aldo, and I think that is exactly what many of us in research today are engaged in the business of doing. Sometimes we say that data is it's sort of like the new oil, if you think about it. It's all around us, but not always easily accessible. And in order to be useful, it needs to be refined and processed. And the challenges there are very much.
So that was what really stood out to me. In order for, we have so much data floating around now. We have so many words, so many pixels from pictures, just data everywhere. And what we need to learn how to do is how to take all this data and learn how to refine it into one source. And that's kind of what I was thinking when it came to, we have two websites for the UNT Writing Lab. We need to take all that information and refine it down into one website to find some utility out of it. So, draw my little visual here. Here's site 1 and site 2. Okay, we have a little refinery. Okay, and then conveyor belt. This is a conveyor belt. Promise. So we take the data from both the sites, we pour it all into this funnel, and then we get neat little packages of categories. More concise, more simple, but it's all kind of packaged into just one. And this has a lot to do with what we've studied in Dr. Becker's principles class when it comes to the article that I think Lee Clark Jones wrote it. The filing cabinet has a sex life. It's just data is being built up and built up and built up, and I think that's what's happening between these two websites. A lot of it has just been built up, and we need to gather it all together and refine it into one website. So, all right, do you want to talk a little bit about?
Well, the next big step for this is really trying to, like, once you get the data and once you get the information that you need for this process, you have to find the right kind of space for it. Now, the space is kind of predicated on exactly where you want to go. Now, Dr. Rain mentioned a lot of places will take like coffee shop or those kind of ideas and really kind of force them onto the user. It's not always the best choice, it's not always the best route. A lot of times because that doesn't always connect with you as an individual. The better idea is to take it more of a space in terms of you as a human being, you as an individual, your mind, the way you flow, where you're going, how you think of things, how you really kind of, change what you're doing. You know, Liz purposely put this picture up here, the pasture, so to speak, kind of defines more of an open area. Instead of being confined to a house in a lot of ways, to like one small building, an entity, so to speak, you have plenty of places to go, plenty of things to do, things to see. It's wide open.
Right. So when I was thinking about the rooms, the coffee house, the actual laboratory, all the things that were mentioned in the article, I feel like a room, it's a physical space, but it implies that things are hidden, out of sight, they're covered by a structure, walls, you know. It's not open to the outside. It's confined into that room, and it requires some sort of action to get to the data. So, for example, we have
Another wonderful drawing.
we have like we have our house here, or we have a coffee shop, and oops, my perspective's way off. So we have a coffee shop, all right, and it has a door. So and all of our data's in here. Let's imagine coffee shop as a website. Okay, our website's all contained in here. Well, you have to go through a barrier. You have to open a door to get there, which in web terms would be a click, right? So it's just like it's a layer that you have to get through to get to your data that's inside of the coffee house. And then even more so, once you're inside of that coffee house, you have cabinets, that you have to open to get data out of. You have drawers, that you have to open up before you can get to that data. So this could imply, like first layer of a click to get into the category space, and then another click to get to the worksheet. So what we think we want to do is minimize user interface by making a website that's at most, hopefully, 2 layers, where you visit the website, and then everything is laid out on your website, and you just it's everything that's on the website you see on the home page. And then you can click on a category and just go one step further. We just want to have a website that's only 2 layers. And why do we want to do this?
Well, it's easy because when you have tags, you have words, specific things, you're going to follow that a lot easier. You're going to find what you need instantaneous. The problem with rooms like this is not always the most organized thing. Sometimes you have to depend on the other individual to really kind of categorize it out for you, but it doesn't think like you. They don't think for you, so to speak. We're going to show the Google Ventures.
Okay, yeah. So I've been pretty obsessed with this website all semester, and this Google Ventures website was what I had in mind when I was thinking of 1 layer. Let's pretend this is the homepage to the Writing Lab. Up here we could have 1 link to the tutoring, and contact information, and whatever else we would need. And then down here is where we list every single thing that you can find on the website. Okay, so let's pretend this says how to use commas, how to use parentheses, how to cite with MLA, okay? And these categories up here are grammar. And what you can do is all your information is in front of you, and you can, click on categories, and it'll it'll highlight the things within that category. But the main point about why I think this works so well is that everything is laid out in front of you, and it encourages exploration. Okay, when you have all these words and data in front of you, it's not hidden behind another hyperlink. It's right in front of you. And so I know that this website for me definitely encouraged exploration, because I clicked on something and it even has a little, when you hover over it, has a little description, right? But I've clicked on every website because it's all in front of me, and it's like definitely something that promotes like exploration, your own findings and nothing's hidden.
Exactly, it's predicated on the user, it's predicated on what you need to achieve as an individual. Granted, this is used for different things like mobile gaming and different kinds of life sciences, but the same kind of concept goes with writing. It all has different categories and uses and ideas that you have to follow. Not every person is going to write the same way. Not every person is going to think the same way when they're trying to write it out. So having this kind of idea, this process, where you can find what really fits you as a user and individual. Maybe you have problems really using verbs in the right spot, or maybe your style isn't as good and it could be better. So this kind of categorization, this kind of option is going to give that writer, not only the writer and the tutor, kind of a better, more defined path of where they need to go. The next part on, I said verbs. The next part of our, it's right here. Okay. Is obviously, like Liz said, is to explore. The big idea here is to find other ways to kind of utilize our material. One thing I found that I thought was pretty interesting is a website called Protagonize. It has a really good vibe to it. I've actually used it before for a writing class when I was a creative writing major here at UNT. And it kind of gives you an idea of how you could really utilize UNT's Writing Center. One of the great things about this area is you can go to different places in different groups. Each one of these groups utilizes, didn't mean to do that, each one of these groups utilizes a different kind of idea. Well, obviously the computer wanted us to go there, so let's go to the Collaborative Center. it's a basics, it's simple, it's not strung out, it's not all over the place, you don't have to think of different things. But individuals in here, let's say that you have an online source and you are waiting for something to get there and you're like, I gotta get this paper done, I don't have time for this. You can go to a collaborative center where a lot of people have done other things like yourself, and maybe you just need help on your idea to, kind of concept it out, map it out the best way you can. This is a great place to go. It's a good option. It allows you to come in and find other people's material, their essays, their work, or just like an idea, a concept, a thesis. Same kind of thing if you wanted to come back, let's say, go back to Explore, and you wanted to go to the Protagonized pub. That's kind of fun, the whole coffee shop idea. Granted, you can't really do a pub with underage students, but it's the same idea. It's the concept. It's where people go to talk and discuss and kind of feel out exactly what they're wanting to do. It's more so than a coffee shop. Coffee shops, in some ways, they feel snooty, but here you can lay back, you can feel more relaxed. You don't have to feel like your work is being criticized in any way. You feel like your work is actually being focused on, and they're trying to make you a better writer. That whole kind of concept really flows well. God, this thing's annoying. The concept really flows well because it allows you to discuss these topics with other people, other ideas, other individuals. But you can't always wait around for a person to tell you what to do. Sometimes you have to do it on your own. Self-help, self-teaching is really important, but if you have the right guidance from the writers, from the tutorial, from the tutors, then you're going to find it a lot easier.
Right, and something like this we could provide on the website as an external